The FBI is searching President Biden's home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, right now. This is part of the ongoing investigation into his handling of classified documents. Biden's attorney put out a statement saying that the search was planned in advance and that the president is cooperating. Today's search now makes it the third known location that federal agents have gone through to look for classified material at the properties associated with President Biden. Paula Reed, she's joining us now from Washington with much more on this. Paula, this all started really unfolding just a little while ago. What are you learning?
That's right. Pool cameras actually spotted vehicles and what appeared to be federal agents at the Rehoboth house. And they were there because, Kate, we have very much expected that there would likely be an FBI search of this property. And as you noted, this is being conducted in cooperation with the president's attorneys. But to put this in context and explain why we expected this, let's go back to the beginning of this situation. They uncovered classified documents at the president's former office back in November. Several weeks after that, the president's own attorneys decided, out of an abundance of caution, to search his home in Wilmington, Delaware, and this property in Rehoboth. And they've said that they did find classified materials in Wilmington, but they did not find any in Rehoboth. Now, that subsequently became the subject of a full-blown special counsel investigation, and it was expected that the FBI would want to go and do its own searches. Roughly 2 weeks ago, of course, the FBI did its own search of the president's Wilmington home, and they uncovered additional classified materials. So we were expecting them to show up in Rehoboth eventually. That is today. Of course, it's unclear, though, how long this search will take. Kate, the one in Wilmington lasted roughly 13 hours. But the big question now is whether they will find any additional classified materials. As of now, our sources say the total classified documents that have been found both at the former office and at the Wilmington home, it's characterized as dozens known to date. So big question, will they find additional material? And if so, will they share that information with the public? There's been a real push and pull in terms of transparency here. They confirmed this search after we caught it on camera. They have provided some details, but most of the information in this investigation has come out through the press.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you is how quickly it's expected, if there is something found, when the public will learn. We'll stand by with you on that one, Paula. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Joining me now for more on this is CNN legal analyst Elliot Williams. He's a former federal prosecutor. Elliot, thanks for jumping on. What do you make of the statement? What do you make of this search? Also, the statement coming out from Biden's attorney. And let me read just part of it because it's what Paula was talking about. She said the statement from Bob Barras, under DOJ standard procedures in the interest of operational security and integrity, it sought to do this work without advance public notice, and we agreed to cooperate. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's a little confusing because it's the Justice Department in Joe Biden's administration that's putting it out. They're two different entities, right? You have the Justice Department that kind of operates independently, and then you have the White House. Now, look, they have different interests here, and the Justice Department's key interest is maintaining secrecy around its searches. That's why, they did not publicly announce it, or the Justice Department didn't publicly announce the search and so on, right? Now, why they were able to come to some consent agreement to search the home is that the Justice Department assumed that they wouldn't have gotten into a fight over the documents with the Biden team. I think the Justice Department operated under the assumption that they weren't expecting the president or his aides to conceal or hide or tamper with evidence. That's why they came to some agreement as to the search here. But again, it can be a little bit confusing because yes, it is the Justice Department. Yes, it's an independent entity, but it's not the same thing as the White House, right? Even though it's the same president.
And we know to this point that when Biden's team went through the Rehoboth home, they said that they did not find any classified documents there. If the FBI, through this search, does find more documents at this home at this point, how problematic is that?
It's problematic if the FBI uncovers evidence that there was intentional taking or mishandling of documents. Right. Look, Kate, I had a top secret clearance for many years. It can be easier than you think or hope for classified documents to get out. Most of the time that it happens, it's inadvertent. Someone takes a document out accidentally or so on. That may have been the case here. Now, if the FBI uncovers evidence that someone, and not just the president, someone around the president on his team voluntarily, knowingly took documents away from the White House, away from the scrutiny of the National Records Administration, then of course it should be alarming because that can be a federal crime. But most of the time, it's simply whoopsie, an accident, classified documents got out of where they should have been.
We also have reporting this morning from Paul Reed as well that the special counsel, Robert Hur, is now officially on the job. And he obviously is a special counsel who will be overseeing this investigation into Biden's handling of classified documents. Watching from the outside, Elliot, is there anything that we're going to see that changes now that he is running things?
I really don't think so. And I really don't think it should be the case. Look, in any well-functioning organization, not even government or the Justice Department, moving in and out the head, the principal, ought not to change the work they were doing. They were proceeding beforehand with investigations and searches and going through evidence even prior to Bob Hur coming on. Now, look, having somebody as a figurehead at the top can help steer the ship and make sure things are handled and proceeding effectively, but the direction shouldn't really change. I mean, I think that would actually be quite bad for government if every time a new U.S. attorney or a new special counsel came in, things fell apart or changed quite dramatically. So I'm not anticipating things will be much different. And look, at a minimum, you can be certain that the Justice Department's not going to start talking about the investigations they're doing now simply because someone else is coming in. Their MO, for better or worse, is simply to just keep their mouth shut.